God-level duplication system. Chapter 79. A punch sent them flying. Sun Cheng also had a serious expression on his face. You are that Lin Xuan. If there isn't a second new disciple named Lin Xuan, then it will be me. Lin Xuan said it indifferently. Sun Cheng's expression became even more solemn when he heard this. A person's name was like the shadow of a tree. With Lin Xuan's great reputation, he should have some ability. He didn't dare to mock Lin Xuan anymore. Instead, he treated Lin Xuan as a great enemy. At this moment, Lin Xuan's voice was heard again. What's your bet? 500 contribution points, or 55 substandard spirit stones. Sun Cheng replied. 10 contribution points could be exchanged for, at least 1 substandard spirit stone. But in reality, the exchange rate was slightly higher. After all, according to the rules of the sect, they were not allowed to exchange in reverse. Okay. Lin Xuan nodded his head. Sun Cheng's bet was not low. Alright, I'll accept your bet. After saying that, he took out his identity card and threw it to the deacon, who was not far from the ring. Please register. The deacon took the identity card, and after verifying it, his heart was once again shaken. He is indeed Lin Xuan. As the deacon of the inner sect, his cultivation base had reached the condensation spin stage, the middle stage. Therefore, he could easily tell that Lin Xuan's cultivation base was at Qi transformation stage level 4. And because of this, he was even more shocked. This identity token couldn't be faked. So, he was really that new disciple, Lin Xuan. However, when he was testing his talent at the beginner level, Lin Xuan was only at the early enlightenment stage. Now, 1 month and 7 days have passed. Lin Xuan's cultivation had actually reached Qi transformation stage level 4, which was equivalent to a Qi transformation stage middle stage. In less than 40 days, he had broken through 2 major realms. Putting aside everything else, his cultivation speed was already shocking enough. He finally understood why the sect's seniors valued Lin Xuan so much. With Lin Xuan's terrifying cultivation speed, he could already become a genius. Therefore, he was indeed ranked at the top of the entire sect. After that, the deacon came back to his senses. After registering, he threw his identity card back to Lin Xuan. He looked at the ring with anticipation. If Lin Xuan's cultivation speed was so fast, then what would his strength be like? It shouldn't be bad, right? With Lin Xuan's great reputation, it was enough to attract many disciples of the inner sect to come and watch the competition. He believed that he would be able to see Lin Xuan's ability this time. The deacon thought to himself. On the arena, the referee glanced at them and saw that everything was ready. He announced, "The bet begins." The disciples who were competing, and the spectators near the other rings were also attracted by the commotion. Even if they could not witness Lin Xuan's true strength in this match, they could still see some clues. All the disciples wanted to see if the famous Lin Xuan was worthy of his name. On the arena, Sun Cheng said it coldly. Lin Xuan, you are indeed very talented to be able to walk from a new disciple to here. I just don't know if your strength is worthy of your talent. Let me try. After saying that, he charged towards Lin Xuan. Wherever he passed, the air was compressed. The power of his attack this time was shocking. Facing Lin Xuan, Sun Cheng did not dare to be careless. He used his full strength the moment he attacked. Mountain Quake Fist. Sun Cheng shouted in a low voice and threw out a punch. As soon as the punch was thrown out, it shook the entire mountain, and its power was unparalleled. Visible ripples spread out in all directions, creating crackling sounds. The air also shattered one after another. Thus, the power of this punch could be seen. Lin Xuan, you will lose. Sun Cheng's punch was also extremely fast. In just a breath's time, he had already arrived in front of Lin Xuan. When many people in the square saw this, their hearts trembled. They could only see a shadow, let alone block his attack. The disciples also sighed in their hearts. Sun Cheng was indeed a veteran Qi transformation stage 6th level expert. The strength of his punch was above the late Qi transformation stage. In the inner sect, there weren't many people who could withstand it. They then looked at Lin Xuan. How would this famous Lin Xuan deal with Sun Cheng's attack? In the crowd, Chen Yuzi was also staring at the arena. This punch was much stronger than the one that sent him flying. His opponent might not have used his full strength at that time. Now that he was facing Lin Xuan, he had revealed all of his strength. It could be seen that in his eyes, Lin Xuan was much stronger than him even though they were both new disciples of the inner sect. Sun Cheng also wanted to see how much Lin Xuan's strength had improved after these 7 days. On the arena, Lin Xuan felt the force of this punch. With a calm expression, he forcefully threw out a punch. Tyrant Fist. This punch was extremely powerful and domineering. In the eyes of the others, Lin Xuan's punch was only an extremely fast fist technique. However, in Sun Cheng's eyes, Lin Xuan was like a peerless overlord, extremely domineering. His power was incomparable to anyone else. This was not something he could defend against. In an instant, his heart lost all will to fight. At this moment, the two fists had already collided. An ear-splitting explosion rang out. Lin Xuan stood still on the spot with a cold expression on his face. He slowly retracted his fist as if nothing had happened. On the other side, Sun Cheng screamed. He was sent flying and crashed into the square with a dull thud. His right arm was greatly bent and blood flowed freely. He had a fracture and his injuries were not light. Upon seeing this, the surrounding disciples' eyes widened as they stood rooted to the ground in shock. The place fell silent. A while later, someone gradually came to a realization. Only then did the scene become noisy, and very quickly, it became very noisy. Sun Cheng was killed in an instant, just like that. Is this the strength of Lin Xuan? He is very strong. As expected of a top genius, not only is his cultivation speed fast, but even his strength has advanced so terrifyingly. The disciples discussed animatedly. They looked at Lin Xuan, who was standing on the arena. Their eyes were wide open and they were extremely shocked. They had never thought that the battle between Lin Xuan, who had just entered the inner sect, and Sun Cheng, who was a senior disciple of the inner sect, would end up like this. He had actually killed Sun Cheng in an instant. Sun Cheng threw a punch, but Lin Xuan was unharmed. However, Sun Cheng was knocked down from the arena. He kept spitting out blood. His right arm had been fractured, and he had suffered a serious injury. The difference in strength between the two of them couldn't be any more obvious. At this moment, Lin Xuan's strength was about the same as a Qi transformation stage peak. All the disciples were overwhelmed with shock. If one were to say that they had doubts about the rumors about Lin Xuan before this. But now they had already believed it. He had such cultivation speed and also had the strength to leap realms. They could all see how high his talent was. It was true that he was ranked at the peak of the sect. All the disciples were once again shocked by Lin Xuan's talent. In the crowd, Chen Yu's eyes widened as he stood rooted to the ground. His gaze toward Lin Xuan was filled with disbelief. He said absent-mindedly, "How is this possible?" It was only when the scene became noisy that he came back to his senses. However, his gaze was still locked on Lin Xuan. The shock and disbelief on his face didn't diminish in the slightest.